How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is RuffledRowlit, and welcome back to a brand new video. Let's take a look at some Pokemon rumors, some Nintendo rumors, and stuff like that. Starting things off with this post right here from Stealth40k, who says that apparently Nate the Hate, if you guys do not know Nate the Hate, he is sort of a person who knows a lot about Pokemon leaks, Nintendo leaks, sorry, and things of that nature. He shares a lot of that stuff, and he apparently talked about some of the stuff that he has in terms of predictions for the 2026 Switch 2 first-party game specifically. Now, this is not to say that, like, this stuff is going to be happening, but at least it indicates something, I guess you could say, somewhat. So we're going to go through this list quickly, and then I think there is a few more tweets that we are going to take a look at as well here. But yeah, we're going to start with, of course, the most obvious thing, right? Which is going to be, you know, this right here. And then we're going to go through a few of the other tweets that they've been putting out recently, just, you know, for context. But again, we're going to start off with this post, which is 3D Mario Big Holiday Release. Now, I don't know if this is him saying it's going to happen. You'd have to go and watch the actual, you know, I guess the video here. Which I'm going to put on the screen. Here it is, Nate the Hate. You got to go watch the actual thing if you want to get full context. So just literally go to Nate the Hate on YouTube if you want to see him literally explain everything. It's a 1 hour and 46 minute length thing, so it takes a while. But 3D Mario Big Holiday Release, Pokemon Gen 10, the other holiday release, which we kind of already know Pokemon Gen 10 is going to be the holiday release for this year. Obviously, it's the next generation. It has to be. Then apparently he says, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Definitive Edition, apparently. Switch 2 editions, maybe Switch Sports and Pikmin 4. Okay, I could see Switch Sports getting a Switch 2 edition. I wouldn't think that would be too crazy. Pikmin 4, maybe as well. Apparently, significant Mario Kart World DLC, which makes sense, right? Because, let's be real, Mario Kart World has not had the best reputation since it came out. I got it with my Switch 2, right? So, like, I've played it, but it's the kind of game where, like, I'm not somebody who actively plays it. Like there's a massive community of people who play this game actively. And I know those people have kind of a mixed reaction about this game. Some people love it. Some people hate it. A lot of people have hated it recently because of a lot of the issues and everything, and especially with the maps and the different tracks and all that. So adding some kind of DLC plus more updates to sort of fix the game and make the people who are going to be buying this DLC, because I would never buy it personally, right? As somebody who very, very casually plays Mario Kart. I'm not someone who would be like investing a lot of time or any more money, which I think a large part of people are like me, but there's also a large chunk of people who do care about it. So a Mario Kart World DLC makes total sense. And then apparently a Zelda remaster or remake of some sort is what he is also predicting. But again, that's just his predictions, which doesn't mean that necessarily means we're gonna get these things. It's just his predictions. So keep that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind. But either way, of course, you guys know the 30th anniversary of Pokemon is in 1 month. Literally like 1 month from now, essentially. There's always a Pokemon Presents on Pokemon Day. It's extremely likely Gen 10 games will be revealed there. Again, I'm not even thinking about this. This is not something like, I'll genuinely mean this. I'm not even like in my mind going through the demotions or anything. Like, I know we're getting this revealed, so I'm not super worried. And again, as I spoke about yesterday, again, Nate the Hate literally also said that we are going to be probably getting a February 5th Nintendo Direct. So we know for a fact we're getting Pokemon Presents on Pokemon Day, which is next month, aka February, on the 27th or 28th. I always forget which day. I think it's the 27th. We're getting literally one then. Like an entire, you know, presentation and everything. But usually in February, there's always a chance we could get a Nintendo Direct as well. And that's what Nate the Hate also said. So, again, we could get that. We could get some great games released, revealed. And possibly some of the stuff that's mentioned here. A 3D Mario Big Holiday Release, Xenoblade Chronicles do Definitive Edition, Switch 2 editions of Switch Sports and Pikmin 4, Mario Kart World DLC, and Zelda remasters or remakes. Any of that is possible at this point, right? But he also has some third-party predictions, which is Clear Obscure Expedition 33, which would be crazy if that could actually run on the Switch 2. Metaphor Refantasio, which is a big one. That's a big one. I think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Yakuza Like a Dragon games. Like, I freaking... Listen, I've been playing Yakuza 0, and that shit is absolute peak. Red Dead Redemption 2. Okay. Red Dead Redemption 2, baby. Which also... peak. What else? Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 remake would be great. Doom the Dark Ages, that one I really wonder if they were able to do that. And then Final Fantasy, what is that? Final Fantasy 16, I think, is what that is. Yeah, I think that's 16. So again, we'll have to wait and see if any of that actually comes through. You know what I mean? It's all a matter of time, and we'll see, right? The other thing he says, apparently because Donkey Kong Bonanza released last year, he never really considered the possibility of a new 3D Mario game in 2026. It's true that a lot of devs who worked on Odyssey weren't in the credits of Bonanza, so any production group number 8 game is a must-buy for him. So yeah, again, the possibility of there being an actual, like an Odyssey 2 or something like that, I think is pretty high, even though Donkey Kong Bonanza came out. Like, I'll be honest with you, I am more personally likely to buy a Mario like game in that style than I am to buy a Donkey Kong game. No offense, I'm gonna just be real. I'm not the biggest fan of Donkey Kong as a franchise. I never really cared for Donkey Kong as a franchise personally, whereas I did play games like Super Mario Galaxy 2 and stuff like that. So I'm more inclined personally as a consumer who isn't into, like, you know, that side of things. So I can kind of understand why, like, logically they'd want to do another Mario game of that scale, because a lot more of the regular people, including myself, I gotta include myself in the casuals when it comes to these kind of games, you know, are more likely to buy Mario, because Mario's name carries more weight than Donkey Kong's name does, unfortunately. But yeah, he also says he's surprised that Nate predicted Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Definitive Edition. It's a Monolith Soft's best-selling game. It could use some quality of life and technical improvements, and Monolith Soft develops more than one game at a time, so it is possible. There's also some new Requiem gameplay. Keep in mind, this game is coming too, by the way, to the Switch too, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's kind of nuts if you really think about it. We're going to scroll up a little bit further. Apparently, rumor is that Walmart may have leaked the Metroid Prime 2 and Pikmin 2 are coming to Nintendo Classics, apparently, which is, that's a bit of a mess up. Also, apparently Nintendo has announced substantial updates for Splatoon 3 releasing on January 29th, which is interesting because there's happening, not just that, there's actually some other stuff that's currently happening. Like, for example, maintenance for online play for the Nintendo Switch 2 is now taking place, which, you know, is normal. That does happen. It is something that tends to happen. But interestingly, it's all happening now at an interesting time. The week before, we're supposed to have a direct, right? So again, it's just intriguing. It doesn't mean anything, but it is interesting. Also, Nintendo also revealed that the Virtual Boy, which you guys, if you didn't know, they're re-releasing the Virtual Boy, which is a failed console they made. But the games coming to it in Nintendo Classic are going to be the following: Galactic Pinball, 3D Tetris, Telero Boxer, Virtual Boy Wario Land, The Mansion of Innsmouth, Golf, Red Alarm, and coming later, Mario Clash, Mario Tennis, Jack Bros, Space Invader, Virtual Connection, Virtual Bowling, Virtual Force, V Tetris, Zero Racers, and D Hopper. So there's that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much that. Also, there's this. Nintendo's next financial update is in 1 week. Switch will officially pass the DS as Nintendo's best-selling platform. We'll also get the sales total for Kirby Air Riders, Pokémon Legends ZA, and Metroid Prime 4, which that's going to be an interesting one, right? The fact that we're going to get ZA sales numbers, because remember, when ZA dropped, I think in that first week or two, it was one of the, like, actually sold better than Legends Arceus. But this is going to be the big one. How well did it sell after that, like, first week or two of being out, right? How well did it sell over time? Because I'll tell you right now, as somebody who, you know, whose job it is to keep up with these games and also to play these games, cover them, and also I can see the numbers that I'm getting on YouTube and how other people are getting numbers and stuff. And I'll tell you right now, the ZA numbers, as in how many people watched and interacted with this game on YouTube, was much lower, okay? Much, much lower than Arceus. Arceus had much more substantial numbers from a YouTuber perspective, which you could say, oh, but that doesn't mean anything. But there is a kind of a correlation, because the more people buy a game and play it, the more people are also looking up guides, looking up information, consuming more content. Because if you're really enjoying a game, a lot of people, myself included, is if I enjoy something a lot, I want to know everything about it. I want to look up more about it. I want to see people talk about it. I want to see more people play it and stuff like that. So I would look up videos. For example, I'm really into a lot of different things. Right now, I love Dark Souls. I love Warhammer. So I love consuming lore videos about Warhammer. As an example, and this is what I mean, is like people would look stuff up. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this. Like, what do we actually learn from this drop, like from this info? But yeah, so apparently also Arceus released 4 years ago and it sold 15 million units on the Switch. So it is interesting to see how will things do this time around. Like, it's really interesting. Also, Nintendo's financial update next week will lead into a leadership Q&A a few days later. Last year, Nintendo's president Shuntaro Furukawa answered all the questions. Usually some good information comes out of these, so they are worth paying attention to. So yes, we do have a substantial amount of things that we need to pay attention to next week, including the potential new Direct, a quarterly update from Nintendo, like internal, you know, like revenue updates and stuff like that, which is going to reveal sales data for ZA and tell us how did it do? How did that game actually perform? Was it the best-selling Pokemon game? You know, was it better than Arceus sales? It's interesting to see, right? It's very, very interesting. So we'll have to wait and see what comes out of that. Again, for now, just gonna have to wait. Gonna see how it all turns out when we get to that point. But for now, we're just gonna have to sit back. But keep in mind also, as we already mentioned, Nate the Hate did talk about Gen 10 a bit, saying that it will be revealed in February. From conversations he's had, Gen 10 could be visually pleasing, might be the visual leap Pokemon fans have been waiting for. But here's the thing. It's just like Grim Grookey says, psh, I won't believe it till I see it. And I agree. At this point, I'm going to say this. I am excited for Gen 10 because I just want to see something new from Pokemon that is genuinely going to try something interesting. And I want to see what they can do. Now that we've seen kind of like, at least to what levels they can push like the graphical stuff and all that and their game development with something like the 6-year development on the Beast of Reincarnation, because that game is coming out also, by the way, this year. But seeing what they can achieve when they aren't kind of held back potentially by Pokemon is really cool. So I want to see if they genuinely put their best foot forward, what they could bring to the table. Like, I'm genuinely intrigued by that. So we'll have to wait and see what comes out of it. At this point, it's all up in the air. I ain't gonna lie, dog. Like, it's all up in the air. But again, we'll have to wait and see. The next thing, though, and this is massive, okay? This is massive. So if you didn't know, Michael, or Skyrus M, I always mispronounce his like online name, but he is somebody who's been working on several things. One of those things being PK Hex, the other thing being, if I'm not mistaken, Atmosphere, which is like one of the, it's like the custom firmware you use on a hacked Switch. But apparently, he is actually retiring. Yes. So developer, Nintendo Switch custom firmware Atmosphere, and big contributor to PK Hex and the Pokemon data mining community. But yes, he is also a data miner who does do data mining, but he is quitting. Like, he is pretty much, according to him, he's retiring. He says, I wanted to let you know that I'm planning on retiring from work in the public hacking scene. Atmosphere and my work on the Switch have been an enormous labor of love for me and for the past 8.5 years. Just crazy, man. 8.5 years. And it's been an honor for me to dedicate so much of my life towards that kind of work. He also says that, that said, I'm getting older. I find myself with less time dedicated towards it and more responsibilities and changing personal life, particularly with hoping to have kids in the foreseeable time and horizon. I think I have to reevaluate how much time I can spend on hobby projects. So yes, this is interesting. I do assume that somebody else would be able to take over work on that or contribute more to it, because I don't think he does everything himself. I doubt that. Usually these are projects that are kind of being contributed to by multiple people, but it is a little sad to see somebody that's been around for such a long time, okay? Like somebody that's been, you know, providing this community, of anybody who does anything with custom firmware or anything like that, with so much over the years, and now they're kind of leaving. And this is going to be a big thing as well going into Gen 10. Gen 10 is going to be really interesting this year, because this is going to be the first game, probably the first game since maybe back in like Gen 5 or something, potentially, right? Or even X and Y. It's going to be a first game in a long time that we do not have data mines for. And the reason I say that is because there's not going to be any way to data mine this game, because there is no way to access the files of the game without being able to dump the game in any sort of, you know, way, shape, or form, because the Switch 2 is not hacked. There is no way to hack it as of right now. Nobody's been able to crack it yet. It is still something that's up in the air. It's definitely like worrisome in some way, but also I think it's one of the best moments we're going to have, because for the first time in a long time, we're not going to be able to get all the answers about a game right away. We won't be able to find out every single Pokemon in a game without it being already, you know, like without, you know, we're going to be able to finally play a game and not everything's going to be revealed before release. Like, this is the first time in a long time that we're going to have that with a Pokemon game. Like, genuinely. Like, think about it. Even Sun and Moon was data mined. Ultra Sun and Moon was data mined. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, I don't remember if they got data mined, but it was very early on in, like, you know, into the Switch's life cycle that it already got hacked, so you could already data mine Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, right? Like, it didn't take them a long time to get to that point. So my main point with all of this is Gen 10 is going to be the Wild West in terms of speculation, different Pokemon we need to actually go out and find ourselves. Like, we're not going to get numbers for shiny rates and stuff like that, you know, just like this. We're going to have to figure it out ourselves and do the math and do everything. I'm actually excited about that. In a weird way, I kind of am excited for that part, but I do get a little bit sad because we're not going to have any way to access any of this stuff or any of these files. They may go lost to time, or we will never have any point to, you know, in history, we will figure out certain data. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be an interesting time though, right? There's so much more that we can look forward to in that regard. But that's that. Also, for those of you guys who play Hytale, by the way, this group called PokeFind, they've actually been working on a mod for Hytale already to add Pokemon into it, which is kind of crazy. I just wanted to mention it. Thought it looked really cool. I'm following them specifically because I want to like try this out when it drops. Let me know if you guys do want to try it out as well when it does drop. And I think we have one more thing really quickly to take a look at, which is this rumor. Apparently, this person says, shows this picture of these 3 sprites, I don't know, and then says the following, which is T-1 month until you see the Farm Boys. Kind of funny looking, but they seem like cool partners, apparently implying that these are going to be Gen 10 starters. The lighting in the game looks insane. There's a bunch of environmental factors that change how it looks. Your guy has some kind of weird weather ball on their chest. Professor has a cast form sidekick. If I had any additional forms or evolutions, it's not clear at this time. The bike looks like some sort of horse-drawn carriage parasailing thing. Seems like it can be used on all terrains. The dog looks really funny pulling it. There's also a Snorlax carriage that doesn't look like it's moving at all. Steel drums, main instrument, soundtrack. What? Okay. Steel drums as a soundtrack. Okay, fair enough. Very tropical looking environment. Archipelago. Seems like there's a snow mountain in the background on one side of the smoking volcano on the other side. Okay. I mean, brother, you ain't really telling us much with this. It's just a bunch of sprites and very convoluted information, but it's a rumor nonetheless, and I mean, I might as well share it. I personally don't think it's real. It doesn't really make any sense. The Farm Boys thing doesn't make sense either. But hey, at least you tried. So, yeah, I think that pretty much summarizes that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for me. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. So peace out and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day.